Hello there, ladies and gents. Welcome to today's video. My name is Marcos Aguirre, and in today's video, I'm going to review, document, and sound demo this cool instrument. This is a Jackson JS32 Rhoads guitar. Let's get right into the specs and features of this cool instrument. Out of the factory, this guitar comes with two Jackson humbuckers, a tune-o-matic bridge. As far as your controls, you have a tone knob on the left, a volume knob on the right, and a three-way toggle switch for a pickup selector. The wood material for the body of this guitar is poplar. This guitar has a one-piece maple neck, an amaranth fretboard, 24 jumbo frets. The inlays you guys see are just made out of acrylic, even though they have that pearloid look to it. They're just made out of plastic, basically. And we have a black plastic nut there. This guitar also has a 25.5-inch scaling. These guitars come from the factory with your standard cheap Jackson tuners, which are definitely not the best tuners, but you know, they work okay. The one-piece maple neck looks nice, but I will admit the frets are a little bit sharp out of the factory. This guitar has bolt-on construction and string-through construction. And you have your input jack on the top wing, so it doesn't get in your way when you're practicing sitting down or anything like that. As far as your strap buttons, you just have your standard strap buttons that come with all cheap Jackson guitars, so nothing locking or special there. And these guitars are all made in China. So these are entry-level Jackson guitars, and they seem to be pretty robust for being what they are, which are cheap mass-produced guitars. And they even have like a few little features, like for example, the neck joint there is a little slanted so you can reach the higher frets. It's just a little bit of a detail that's not expected in a cheap guitar like this. It's also nice that the bevels are colored in the back of the guitar as well as the front. But these compliments end at the construction of the guitar, because as far as the electronics and the hardware, it's not on par with the rest of the guitar. So my impression for these guitars right now is that they're good guitars for beginners, they're okay guitars for intermediate players, and they're not that great for advanced guitar players. But what I do see in these guitars is a lot of potential for project guitars, in that what's not so great about them is the electronics and the hardware. These are things that can be changed. So a really good scenario would be you get one of these guitars as a beginner. As you get better, you change what's not so great about it. For example, the tuners, and later on the electronics like the pickups. And then you can end up with a really decent guitar. I do have to say that the fretboard on this guitar out of the factory was super dry. And I used to think this was a cheap Jackson guitar thing, because I've seen videos of other people having the same issue on their like JS series guitars. But a few days ago, I bought a Concept Series Rhoads guitar, and it had the exact same issue, although not as bad. So it seems to be a pattern with Jackson guitars, and I did look more into it, and it's been an issue. I don't know what's going on in Jackson's guitar factories that's drying out the fretboard so much, but that's definitely something they should look into and maybe try to fix. This is what the bridge pickup looks like out of the guitar, so it's just a cheap Bellcat pickup, and I believe these are mass produced in China. So although these guitars retail for about $369 new, you can usually find them for a lot cheaper than that. For example, I bought this guitar for $200 brand new. To be honest with you guys, I would never pay over $250 for one of these guitars, which is what I'll be selling this guitar for here locally. These guitars do not come from the factory with a gig bag or a case or anything like that, so I'm keeping this one on a coffin case that I had lying around. Okay guys, let's get into the tone test or the sound demo, and then I'll talk more about what I think about this guitar and what I think about how it sounds and all that. So let's get right into it. Okay, guys, so my first thoughts after playing this guitar for a little while is that it doesn't sound that great. And I know you guys might think it doesn't sound that bad from what you guys heard or saw, but I had to use a few pedals to make it sound good on top of using my Lee Jackson setup, which, yeah, if you know, you know. So that's like I had to fight really hard to get a good sound out of it, and I don't know, it didn't click with me, even though I do play these style of guitars. But again, it looks really cool. The tuners were a little stiff. Like the first two were a little stiff and the other two weren't. So there's a little bit of a like inconsistency with that, which make me think they're cheap as fuck. In terms of weight, this guitar's weight isn't bad. The neck is definitely a little heavier than the body, but you don't get much neck dive. And overall, it feels good to play and hold, whether it's you hold it as I am right now or like you hold it in your lap. It does shift a lot. I don't know if you guys noticed that when I was playing, when I was being pretty aggressive with my right hand, it did move from my lap quite a bit. So that's another thing that made it not click with me so much, I think. But overall, it's not a bad guitar. So final thoughts on these Jackson JS32 Rhodes guitars. Like I stated earlier, they're good guitars for beginners, they're okay guitars for intermediate players, but they're not that great for advanced guitar players. The electronics and the hardware on this guitar, I would rate a 6.5 out of 10 at best. And in terms of sound, I would give this guitar a 6.5 as well. I was going to say 7, but then I remembered these pickups were super buzzy. In terms of feel and comfort when playing this guitar, I would give it a 7 out of 10. So it's definitely better than it sounds, and it's not a bad feeling guitar, but it's not perfect. So in terms of aesthetics, I give this guitar an 8.5 out of 10. So it is a beautiful guitar, and it's definitely the selling point for this guitar because I've heard that in the 90s and early 2000s, an aesthetic like this is one you would only get from a custom shop guitar. So this has made these guitars particularly popular among older folks, especially for project guitars. But I do have to say, although this guitar looks beautiful now, Jackson uses a white paint formula that turns yellow if you so much as look at it wrong. But apart from that, this is as close as us Bullet from My Valentine fans are going to have to having a reissue of Matt Tuck's guitar from back in the day. Right, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys stay safe. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.